Hi, welcome to another episode of Overnight Success. My name is Olubi Awolowo, and today I'm joined by software engineer, startup CEO, Femi Aluko of Chowdeck. Okay, so when I sit down here and I talk to all my famous friends, I start by asking them a slightly silly question. So imagine if you could lose one or two things, your sight or your memory. Which would you opt for?
I had to lose one.
Yeah, if you had to lose one.
That would be my sight.
Why?
Because I can't even imagine losing my memory. Like, I feel like, oh, sorry, when you say memory, like my brain or...
Memory, so you won't remember anything.
But I'll start afresh.
I guess you'll start afresh.
Yeah, if I'm starting from tabula rasa, like, I'm having to repeat again, maybe I would probably lose my memory instead. But like if it's like I will not have sense again, I'll just have eyes like yeah. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Maya Waido. I'm a lawyer, writer, and journalist, and I'm also editor-in-chief of Culture Custodian. Overnight Success is an interview series where I speak to some of my favorite creators and entrepreneurs on the journeys and stories that got them to where they are. That is, young, successful people doing interesting things. I don't think there's any such thing as an overnight success, or is there? Find out more by watching this video. And when you're done, please subscribe, like the video, leave a comment, and share it with as many people as possible. Thank you. Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Overnight Success. Yeah. Okay, cool. So you grew up in a place called Akesan.
That's correct.
What was that like?
That was the ghetto. It was streets, basically. Yeah, it was, I don't know how to, it's proper streets. Like, I went to a primary school around there. My secondary school was somewhere slightly outside of Akesan because we didn't have a good secondary school.
Okay.
In Akesan, yeah. It was just, I don't know, very... I guess it was fun too because like it was proper village life. When I mean village life, like we didn't have lights we had like low current. Light was not really good for us growing up here, so you had to spend most of the time outside, or go to viewing centers, or go and watch ball, or just the things that teenagers or children would do. And I was also very active in church, so I had an excuse to leave the house a lot of times. Yeah.
Okay, so that leads me to my next question. So you've spoken previously about obviously coming up in an area that was deprived, but also having like a strong sense of like faith and religion.
That's correct.
So how did that shape you?
Faith is very important. I think it just like made me always look forward to something, just believe in something, and like just see the future from the present. Which is hard because like that's one of the most beautiful things I learned like as a Christian. Like you have to consistently like believe in God. Like even when things are not looking at the way they should be, you just have that faith, that confidence that like things would like shape out and turn out the way they should be for you. I think also discipline too, to be honest, because there's a lot of things that we teach in church that do not steal, do not kill, all the things that do not make you a bad boy. Because if you are very curious, like you want to try out a lot of things very early, but it's just the fear. I don't know if it's fear that is imbibed in you from small. That like if you steal, if you kill, if you do this, like you go to a fire. There's all of those things that just like help, like I don't know, not make you like wander way too far from.
Yeah, it gives you structure.
Yeah, it gives you structure. Yeah. But I think that like those two things for me, I think faith is very important because like every time I do something new, there's like you can't say with 100% accuracy that something is going to happen the way it's going to happen. But if you have that conviction in your mind and you believe in it, you just like continuously keep like pushing at it. Yeah.
You know what I find that contradictory in a sense, and I say this as someone of faith, but I just expected because obviously you have like a very sciencey background that like it might just be like, yeah, I don't believe in this stuff, man.
Yeah, me, I believe in it. Like I believe in it because again, I think I've seen too many miracles in my own life for me to not believe in it, and multiple miracles. Like even in Chowdeck, while building Chowdeck, there are a lot of things I can see and things I cannot see, but there are things that just happened that like I'm like, yeah, like this is. First of all, I like to say, okay, like there are a lot of things that happen that you just believe that like, yeah, this is not normal. Yeah.
Okay, so there's something you said. And it was something I had seen you say previously. And it's this fascination with low current. So now I'm very curious. Did that shape your interest in like engineering?
Yes, like a lot. In fact, I think that was the major inspiration for reading electronic and electrical engineering. Okay. I read elect in OAU in Nigerian University, and I was very like that was very important for me because like I think just seeing how, I think I was obsessed with like how light was like as a kid. Just like, oh, low current, high current. This can you have to buy a stabilizer. This can carry this light. This light can carry the TV. Sometimes it can carry the TV, and it just like felt like so much fun for me. I think there's even a child memory I have that like like I was trying to figure out like where people people in the TV like come from. So I started like trying to eat the wire, like just trying to like trace like, oh, where is it people actually coming from. So I'd always like wanted to like just like know about like electricity generally, and I think that like going to Ife, in secondary school I was actually going to study mathematics because I was very good in maths.
Okay.
I'd won like a couple of competitions in maths, and I was just obsessed with like numbers initially. But my maths teacher just told me like, come on, the way I see things, the way I think about problems, that he thinks I'll be a better engineer. And then when he gave me the options, he had initially said computer science, but I was like, computer science is for people that like, I thought computer science was people that like prepare laptops in computer village. And it just felt like, oh, I already do a lot of these things. Because when I was in secondary school, I was the guy that like, oh, you want to install a game, you want to download this. Like, I knew all of this. I was like, I can't spend 5 years in school studying how to like repair laptops and do all of those things. That I want something more exciting. And then they mentioned electricity. I was like, yeah, like I like this thing. I said I want to solve the power problem in Nigeria, and that's why I just went to study electrical.
So how's the ambition of?
I think 2 years in, I realized like, yeah, this is not where I'm going to solve the power problem in Nigeria, and then I just started writing software because there was a senior of mine I met in school that was really really good at writing software. And yeah,
that's brain draining effect. Losing our best minds. There's so many other problems. Like, what are we going to eat?
Yeah.
So you've spoken about going to Ife.
Yeah.
And studying electrical and electronic engineering.
That's correct.
What was that experience like for you? Particularly because, like, okay, now I regard Ife. Obviously, there's this debate about which is the greatest like Nigerian university, and we've kind of seen something of late where like a lot of like the creative giants of our time all were in Ife around like, you know, the same time. So as someone, were you there when they were there?
Yeah.
Okay, so as someone who was there then, and obviously, what was like the energy in Ife like at that time? Like, how did you find that experience?
Yeah. Sadly, like when I was in Ife, like we did not know who was going to blow and who was not going to blow.
Yeah.
So everyone was just hustling, like the way the creatives were hustling.
Yeah.
The engineers were also hustling. So it's not like we met in one place and were like, oh, let us all blow together.
Yeah.
It just happened like that. Yeah. So but in Ife, engineering specifically, we had a very strong community. And we had like, there were a lot of competitions we did in school. Like there was the IEEE Extreme, there was the Microsoft Imagine Cup. There was just a bunch of competitions that like big companies like sponsored, and then we participated just for bragging rights. We're not even thinking about the money at the time. Just like, let's just come and say that like, oh, I won the competition and all of that. Yeah. So we had that pipeline of some sort where like our seniors, they would pair like juniors and seniors to be in one particular team and participate in competitions. And then when you think about like a lot of the current founders in the ecosystem that like this thing, you probably have met them in a competition before, or like they were once in your team, or like, so it's that kind of like close-knit community in school. Yeah. So junior ones, senior ones, and then when juniors become seniors, they mentor like that. Yeah.
Okay. When you left Ife, you started building experience as a software engineer.
That's correct.
So again, out of curiosity, like why was that the route you decided you wanted to take?
Yeah, it was very hard to be honest, because when I finished as the best student in my class, telecoms, and then my family is not really well to do, so my mom was like, yeah, this is the solution to all our problems. My mom came to my convocation, she was celebrating, because we had like companies that would come to our conversation, like Ethel, I remember Ethel came, then NYC, NTA. I got my PPA letter was from NTA. You know NTA now?
Yeah.
And my mom was like, yeah, like this is so great, because my mom is a teacher with the federal government.
Okay.
So she's currently a vice principal. And I even bounced with her that like, assuming she was riding bike for Chowdeck now, maybe she would have like than she currently makes. Yeah, but there was that expectation of like, oh, this guy was going to be an electrical engineer. Worst case, you become a lecturer, and all of that. Yeah. So I think it was heartbreaking for her when I said I wanted to work in a startup. Because I first worked in a startup like doing my NYSC. So NTA gave me, my people was NTA. I was supposed to go to NTA, but I already heard that like NTA is competitive. That a lot of people want to work at NTA. And then with government institutions, like if you don't go on time for the PPA, they will tell you there's no space anymore. So I was just waiting for a lot of people to go. And
so they'll tell you there was a space.
Yeah, so I went the week after. And she was like, there's no space anymore. Why you coming by this time? I was like, thank you, ma. So can you just sign or do what you need to do? And I went back and I was like, there's no space in this NYC. And I just like spoke to a couple of friends and I got somewhere I was going to do my NYC.
Okay.
Which was also very instrumental for me too. Because that place is like a dev shop. It produced a lot of like tech talents that we currently know now. Yeah.
Okay. So I don't want to get into like obviously those experiences. I've seen you obviously reference like landing at Paystack and that being obviously very instrumental in your journey. So walk me through, how did you get there?
Yeah, so towards the end of my NYSC, the company I was doing, the dish I was looking at, they started having issues. They were not paying salaries on time. All of the problems that like startups face. Like,
what was your mom saying when that was happening?
I didn't tell her now. It's just that she I told you. Yeah. So I think the last 3 months. So because I was stuck via NYC, I couldn't leave the company. Yeah. But all the bad guys that I'd worked with, they had all gone like to other places. Some Flutterwave, some Amazon, and I was just stuck there. Like I was like, oh God, I need to finish my NYC. So I started applying to companies like before then, and then I saw that Paystack job opening. And I applied. I did interview. The first stage was very straightforward because again I've done like a lot of like algorithm competitions. So it wasn't so stressful to like just be doing interviews while I'm still doing my work. And then my last interview was like the most memorable one because it was a physical interview. I had passed the first 2 stages, and the last stage was with Ezra. And then Ezra has this like Ezra's first stage is supposed to be like the simplest stage. But it was kind of the hardest for me because like Ezra was asking me real life experiences. But when you work in dev shops, you just build very quick software. Like you don't build software that like people use at scale and all of those things. So I think it just took longer because I had to like think like from the beginning. And Ezra kind of I didn't finish the question, but Ezra just liked that like he likes the way I was thinking about the problem. But me, I thought I'd even blown the interview already. And there's a funny story too. So after the interview, Paystack like sent me Paystack told me that like I've gotten the job. But they didn't tell me what the offer was. Like they said I would get offer details in a separate email. But because I'd also interviewed with multiple other companies, and there was a company that like I will not mention their name, but like they had also sent me the offer. They were trying to rush me. They have to resume this thing. But I didn't want to work for that company.
Did they have a butterfly? Did they have a butterfly?
Did they?
Did they have a butterfly?
Yeah. So I was trying to rush that company. Like they're trying to rush me rather. And then I said, like, at some point I just got pissed that, like, I will just take all my gum and put all my eggs in one basket for Paystack, like, And I told the guys that, like, guy, I said something that pissed him off because he was like, if it was in my shoes, because I was trying to buy time and I was like, please increase this offer is too small. And it was like, if it was in my shoes, he would just take the offer and move on. I said, sadly, I'm not your shoes, so that's and it pissed him off so bad. And almost like 1 hour, 2 hours, he just sent me an email that like, we're not hiring you again, you're not a culture fit, yada yada yada. He just sent me a very angry email, and I just reached out to Ezra again on Twitter, like, Ezra, please, this is my last shot. Like, are you hiring me or not hiring me? And then they sent the offer, and I just resumed Paystack again.
Okay, so it's funny because in that answer, there are like 3 things you said that kind of fit the next question. So I don't know if you've seen that video that has been floating online where they're asking people to pick their preference between Paystack and the butterfly. And obviously Paystack is getting a lot of thumbs up. And that is so, Paystack is a beloved tech company. Obviously, like you said, you were talking about the guy telling you are not a culture fit. So what is it about a place like Paystack that makes it just this amazing company that people love to work at and has been so, like, obviously crucial to the Nigerian tech ecosystem?
Multiple things, but if I were to, from where I sit, like, I think that like the first most important thing that Paystack has a lot of like very high quality talents, very like people that have very high standards. So and I've learned that like once you work with people that like care about what they do, genuinely care about their craft, like the software engineer cares so much about his code, the product manager cares so much about the product, it's easier to have conversations with people that care. People that don't care about what they're building. And I think I learned that very early. Like we had a lot of like long nights, sleepless nights, just trying to fix a lot of problems at the time with payments, reliability issues. Like just like everyone shared that sense of energy, that sense of like, we are building something that is really, really beautiful. And that just helped with the culture, like long term, because people started bringing a lot of people that were like just genuinely kind people that were understanding, and they were also very good at what they do. Because again, that's something I feel like there was actual competence, where people actually knew what they were building, and they also like had very good attitude and this thing, and it just made it very easy to have tough conversations. It made it very easy to, like, even when you're stressed or like something's not working the way it should, it's easy to just talk to your manager and like, this was happening, this is how I feel about something. There was no, I don't think there was no much ego like in the company. Like you could tell someone that like, I don't like what you did. Like I know I had a lot of like uncomfortable conversations with my bosses like in the first 2-3 years around like how I think the work should be and how I think the future of our engineering should look like. And then it helped, yeah.
Okay. So that also takes me to something. So in one of your Medium posts, you spoke about a mess up you made where it had to do with the numbering.
Yeah.
And in the anecdote you kind of detailed, you were talking about the fact that, you owned up to your mess up.
Yeah.
And Ezra said, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
And he came in and he didn't talk about it. And you were there like just panicking, like scared.
Yeah.
And then eventually you went to go and meet him like, how far this thing we're going to talk about? And he's just very like passive and don't do it again. And I think that was very, because Ezra again is someone who like has been heavily caricatured. I don't think a lot of people actually really know him like in depth. But so now looking at that again, because that also speaks to like the culture we're talking about. But what was it like working with Ezra? Like what type of leaders are Ezra and Shola?
Yeah, I think they both have very different styles. I think for Ezra, again, I worked closely with Ezra for the first 2-3 years. Actually worked with both of them for the first 2-3 years, but I think more Ezra. Actually first Shola then Ezra. Yeah. But my time with Ezra, like it was like the way I saw the work, Ezra was very big on like Ezra really cares about like good quality, cares about reliability, about uptime. He obsesses about like then Paystack has APIs, so it's like milliseconds, like seconds. They have to be very fast. He obsesses about these kind of things. He also has this like he's also a very, I don't know how to phrase it, like a very neat like engineer. Like you have to be consistent. Like if you are using lowercase or using camel case, like how you structure your this thing. Like he cares about those things a lot. Yeah. And in the early days it was hard for me to like just like this thing is small. Why you this thing? But again, long term, I saw how important it was to write like APIs that are reliable and predictable. So a lot of my because I was working in payments, I think I was the only payments engineer for like the first few months that was working on core payment infrastructure. I had a lot of like and with payments. And the problem is that like if you make a bug with payments, unlike other because we had payments team, we had the API team. If you make a bug with payments, everyone knows. Because like either you debit somebody wrongly or you get somebody wrongly. Like even if your alerts don't catch it, customers will reach out. Yeah. As opposed to like let's say an API that dashboard is down for 5 minutes and then when it's back up, everyone is like, oh okay, we're down 5 minutes. I'm like, yeah. So my mistakes were a lot more glaring. I don't know, more glaring. Yeah. Which also made me a lot more careful with what I was building. So I think I like the first 2-3 months was actually rough for me because like it took a while for me to move from that I don't know, like just deploy and this thing to like a proper test everything, like handle all edge cases, because again, if you mess up in payments, like something like everyone is going to know. Like you can't hide your mess up and do all of those things. So I had a lot of conversations with Ezra, and I think Ezra generally is also like a very, very like great boss. Like cause again he gives you a lot of freedom to express yourself. Like with the work. Like Ezra doesn't really micromanage. I don't know if now, I don't think he does. I don't think he does now. But it's actually not his style. Like there's enough freedom to like do what you need to do. Like and I was also a huge part of the product team too. Like I had product comments. So like I think he grew to a point that like because my growth in Paystack was also very fast. I think after like the first 6 to 9 months, I was made a tech lead. Then I was made an engineering manager. I think Ezra always had my back. I enjoyed working with Ezra like a lot, like as an engineer, because again, like he cares about what he's building. Yeah.
Okay, and what about Shola?
So my work with Shola was because initially I was doing integrations. That's like partnership. Like maybe you want to do a new I don't know, maybe Mastercard integration or Visa integration. That was what I was doing initially at Paystack, and Shola was one handling most of those conversations. So most times I'll just go to meetings with him. They give me APIs, I digest it, I try to like integrate it and build it. I think low-key, I think Shola also brought out my own entrepreneurship side too. Because Shola is very fast, like, and it's very smart. Like, it thinks very smart and very fast. So like a lot of times I found myself trying to catch up with like, oh, what's this guy? So when we talk, for example, I will go and read a lot in the night to just be able to like have to know what to say or ask questions in the meeting. Yeah. So I also realized that like this is not rocket science. Like just seeing, because again, he's actually very inspirational. Like the way we move from like a first conversation to getting the results and to like going live or doing all those things. Like it can be very fast when you work with Shola consistently. And that was what I tapped off like in my early days because I think that was the best thing Paystack did for me. That because the first 3 months, and I in retrospect, I was actually fighting it initially. Because
naturally,
because they split the team into like they call it engineering, they call it Solidify, which is like infrastructure. Yeah. Then there's a team that handles like new features, and there's a team that handles like payments and bank integrations. Now, so I was the only one on that team, and then when they split the team, I just went to meet Ezra. Like, Baba, like, why would you put me Like, oh, I'm a new engineer. Why would you put me only me?
Yeah, I think you spoke about this in the
and
Medium
then he
post.
tried to like reassure me, but like I was going to try it. And then when I worked with Shola for those 3 months, I feel like it just greatly changed how I saw engineering, how I saw products, and yeah.
So finally, like looking at like the Paystack thing. So in terms of organizational culture, which again goes back to like the conversation about culture fit, how did that influence what you wanted to do next?
Reach out there.
Yeah, so in terms of the organizational culture, because like the same way people obviously talk about like Paystack, I think you can also kind of see similar with the conversations people have about Chowdeck in terms of like obviously caring about the riders or like ensuring that they're well trained. Yeah. So like, how did that influence like what you wanted to build next organizationally?
Yeah. So I think I'd figured out very early, like even like when I started thinking of Chowdeck, that like I think what made us succeed as Paystack a lot was the people. Like how we were treated, how we felt psychologically safe at work to just say things or just do things that we really wanted to do. There was no fear of like, oh, you'll be judged harshly or judged wrongly if you messed up. And I know that like for you to move very fast with things, you have to have so many people operating on that level, people that can actually say what the give you their honest opinion. They have a fear, they're able to express it, they like just be able to like relate very freely. And I think it kind of helped in the early days, because like in the early days we had this very flat structure. In the early days I've probably reduced it now, but like almost every week, like I had syncs with my riders to just find out what was happening, like to just know like, oh, what is happening on the streets? Like, are there things that we should be optimizing for? Because they were the products. They are the ones that we were building a lot of things for them. I think that happened for like the first, 6 months to 1 year of Chowdeck. I would regularly like sync with them. I'll go out with them. Thankfully, like Chowdeck was still very small, so there was no risk of like, I don't know, wrong videos going out. But like we would go out like and just like I talk to them, I sync with them. And I think it just helped with because most of them are now leaders in the company. Like we have like riders and now lead different riders. Because now we have about 6,000 riders. I can't be everywhere anymore. So like we have rider leaders that lead new riders, and those guys are the ones that just like carry the energy that like I carry to them, and then they know that like they have the freedom to do what they think is right or what's
Okay, and that now takes us back to the what's inspired Chowdeck.
Yeah, multiple things, but I think the first most important one, because I thought I was going to spend a longer time at Paystack. Because I really love Paystack. Like I thought I was going to like spend my entire career and life at Paystack. But I think in my like when I was approaching my 40 at Paystack after the acquisition, I was supposed to travel to Dubai to hire engineers, and even on board the ones we had already hired. And then I got tested for COVID. Now that night, that was my first time outside of Africa. So that's the first time I was supposed to travel outside of Africa. And when that COVID test happened, I was literally like, my village people are doing me. Like, and then when that happened, I tried to order food. Now, I'd always order food in Nigeria, like via the apps that existed at the time. And then when I do that, like my food will come to me in 2 hours, 3 hours. Yeah. But again, I genuinely believe that like that was the norm, that was the standard. Because I've not gone outside of Africa before. I thought that like once you order for food, if you want to have lunch, just order in the morning. And that's the right, like, I believe that was the, it sounds funny now in retrospect, but like that just felt like the right thing to do. That like order way ahead to get your food. And it was even a norm. A lot of Instagram vendors, you order today, you get your food tomorrow or next tomorrow, or you order stew. Yeah. So I felt that was standard, that if you could give me in 2 hours or 3 hours, that was fine. And then I had COVID, I couldn't get food. The Instagram vendors that I was trying to order that night so I can get it the next day or 2 days after. And then nobody was promising to deliver to me. The person that eventually delivered to me, I had to pay a premium, like a very high premium, to get food delivered to me the day after. So that was December 31 was when I got tested for COVID. January 1, nobody was opened. So I ordered from the vendor on January 1. We now delivered, I think, January 2 or January 3, days after I had ordered. And I had COVID. So my own COVID was actually bad. The one that you just take your drug and you sleep off. And then you wake up.
I had that.
Yeah. So it was my neighbor, which is now one of my colleagues, that would literally like go and buy food for me on the street, knock on my door and put it outside, and then I just open the door and eat and do all of that. And then when the COVID ended, I traveled to Dubai. I just forgotten that experience. Like this is what it is. It didn't really stick in my mind. But I now ordered food, and for the first time in Dubai, I got my food in 16 minutes. I was like, what? So we have been jostling Nigerians since that. How do people get their food constantly in 16 minutes? And I kept ordering every day. Sometimes I even order like in the afternoon, like when I know like there's rush hour. Order from 3 different restaurants.
This is your engineer mind, like workshopping it. Like it's
like possible to do this kind of experience. So I would do that. Ask the riders that come to
You're looking for the bugs.
Yeah. Honestly, because and the day that they delivered to me in 43 minutes, I remember because they called me and they were apologizing. They're like, "Oh, we are so sorry," and they gave me a token back for delivering that long. I was like, "Oh, okay." I mean, when I took like credits in my wallet, I was like, wow, 43 minutes, like, and this is what is long for them. I don't even remember getting my food in 43 minutes in Nigeria. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to build this. I go back to Nigeria, I spoke to my current co-founder because we used to work together a lot in Paystack. I was back end, it was front end. I was like, guy, there's this thing I'm going to do that. Do you know you can get your food in 16 minutes? It's like, it's not possible. I'm like, see, every day in Dubai, 16, 20, 16, 20. It was like, I was like, no, I think it's possible. And then I just spoke with him. I was like, yeah, we're going to build it. So we first played around this for a while, just thinking about how we're going to do this. Then we said, okay, let's even get riders and just let them be delivered every day. And we'll be tracking like, oh, how long does it take? Where are they spending most of their time? And all of that. And then I think after like 2 or 3 months, we just like, I think we know where the problems are. And we just built a quick MVP. And we shipped it. And then it was working fine for us until one day somebody now made a tweet. And that's when I actually decided to leave Paystack. Until one day someone now made a tweet that like they ordered for food on Chowdeck and they got it in like 18 or 19 minutes. That is juju tech. That is not possible. That everyone is building fintech, health tech, and then they got Chowdeck done. The juju tech, and then a lot of people just downloaded the app, and then delivery started taking longer. But longer for us was 45 minutes, 50 minutes, not 2 hours or 3 hours. And I was like, okay, it's time to focus on this thing, like very seriously. Yeah.
I think one of my major curiosities around Chowdeck is looking at like on a macro level. So food logistics.
Yeah.
Everywhere is like a loss-leading venture.
Yeah.
But you guys, I don't know what, again, in line with the juju tech, you guys have appended that. And so you're like a fully profitable and sustainable business. How the hell did you do that?
Yeah. So the analogy I like to give is that like, again, like there's the perception that it's a loss-making venture, but like holistically, it's not really loss-making. I'll give the example. Like food logistics generally is a marketplace. And when I mean, with marketplaces, there's supply side and demand side. So there's customers and there's restaurants and there's riders. Now think about if you wanted to build a new market today. Let's say you wanted to build an electronics market, let's say in Alaba. Now, the first thing you need to do is to get the market space. Abi? That will cost you like maybe, I don't know, let's say for example, 10 million naira. You need to build shops, build everything in the place. That's maybe everything will probably cost like 100 million naira. Again, this is just me throwing numbers around.
Hypothetically, yeah.
Now, for the first 1 year, you don't expect that when you rent out that shop to people, you will get like the 100 million naira that you have invested in the place. But it does not actually mean that like it is loss making. Now, what happens with a lot of food delivery like companies is that like you start out with a location, like Chowdeck for example started out in Ikeja. Now in Ikeja, of course, there's initial investments to get riders, to get all of those things. And then Ikeja becomes a profitable city after the initial cost of investment. Yeah. Becomes very profitable because again you are making money on each delivery. You are getting commissions from restaurants, you are getting commissions from deliveries, and that's delivery fees, you are getting service fees. There's a bunch of things that just makes that particular city profitable. Now, where it now appears that most delivery companies appear to be loss making is when they now start expanding. Like you need to launch in a new city. Because there's like I said, it's not like pure software where you just release Facebook and everyone signs up to Facebook.
Yeah, no, you have to essentially do the same investment that you put into Ikeja. You have to do it also.
But you now appear to do everything at once. You can launch like 50 locations at once. Yeah. And because again, it's supply and demand. Like you ask yourself the question of like, oh, if I start this business, I need riders to be on ground. Because if you order food has to come to you like in 20 minutes or 25 minutes as fast as possible. Now, riders have to be available to pick up those orders when they come on board. Now, if you don't have those riders on ground, then how do you guarantee? How do you because you don't have customers? It's chicken and egg.
Yeah.
There's customers, there's riders. So how do you guarantee that like, food can come very quickly if you don't have enough riders? Now, if you don't have enough riders and you don't have enough customers, how do you keep those riders engaged so that like there's enough demand for them to work? So that supply demand side problem is a classic problem of any marketplace. It's not just logistics. You would probably have also heard that like maybe Uber or Bolt like are loss making, but they're not technically loss making. Like it just takes a while to build.
To recoup that initial investment.
Yeah, but on a unit economics level, like each order, you are profitable on each order, but you have not just gotten enough orders to be able to recoup the initial cost of the first investment. And that's why like now I try to like launched in like 7 or 8 cities at the same time. Like in that first 1 or 2 months, because it takes us about 3 months for us to like recoup our initial investment on any city that we're launching. And that's why like when companies expand very fast, it appears as though that they are loss making. Like Uber can raise, I think DoorDash can raise $500 million for example, but they are expanding to maybe like 100 or 120 newer cities. Yeah. So, but generally, like I think it's a very okay. I don't know. It's a very profitable business. I didn't want to say this because if I say very profitable, everyone can come and start doing food delivery.
No, but you guys have been you've been transparent with the numbers.
Yeah.
Now.
So it's a very profitable business. Like if you keep like if you don't expand too quickly, like it's going to be a very profitable business, which is what we have enjoyed like in our first few years.
Yeah, because I know that, like, I remember when you guys were only in Ikeja, and it was a thing where it's like, when is Chowdeck going to come to the island, or when is Chowdeck going to essentially leave Ikeja, and then obviously eventually you then did that, and so what you're saying, it makes sense, like on a strategy level.
What we used to do before, and why we're profitable, why we are still profitable actually, like Ikeja's profit is what we used to launch in Yaba. You understand? Yaba's profit is what we used to launch in Surulere. Yeah. So like we'll get profitable in a city to launch in another city, but not that like we realize that we can expand a lot faster. Like why do we need to wait for the profitability of the city to launch in the new city, so we can just like expand very very quickly? Yeah.
Okay, so Chowdeck got into Y Combinator. What was that like? How what was that like?
Yeah, I think that was like the single most important moment for us at Chowdeck, because I like knowing what I know now, I don't think we would have survived like an extra 3 or 6 months if we didn't get into YC. So before YC, we had a very good product, but we did not have a business. Yeah, there was no business to like. It was purely vibes. I don't think there's anything that can be more vibes than what we're doing in Chowdeck at the time, because pricing was down to vibes. They're like, how much is delivery fees? 15 naira makes sense. Let's do 15 naira. That's literally how we've decided everything before YC. And that's why I was surprised, like, because I even asked my YC group partner, like, that like because when we now figured out that like to run a business you have to have this, you have to have that. I was like, so why did you take us into YC? It was like, that he thinks we are good founders, that they optimize for founders because it's easier to learn like business fundamentals than it is for business managers to learn how to be. So I got into YC, and then before YC we used to buy delivery bikes. So if we needed to expand to a new location, we had to buy like extra, and then one rider does an average of 10 deliveries on Chowdeck a day. Now it's around 17, 18. But then it was 10 because we didn't have a lot of orders. That means that like for us to do 100 orders in a day, we had to buy 10 new bikes. For us to just grow from, let's say, 50 orders to 150 orders a day, we have to buy 10 new bikes. And that's why we're expanding. And then we're going to YC, I was like, oh no, like you're building a marketplace. Like there's this place for like logistics. If you want to do like core logistics where you own the bike, that's a different business entirely with the asset financing and all. But like marketplace, like focus on your strength, which is software. Connect these businesses together, build like qualitative things to just track quality versus like you owning all of those things. And then we just took out the bikes. And I was even worried around like, we took out the bikes, we ran the numbers, and then it made sense. And then our delivery pricing, how do we price our product? That also was a hassle too, because I was like, how am I going? Then I think we were charging like 15 or 100 naira for deliveries. And then, it was very, 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 very low. And then I was worried that like, God, how am I going to like, I don't know, change this thing? And YC kept telling us that like, if you have a good product, your customers know the value of your product. Like, difference between 100 naira and 150 or 200 naira, like, it's not a lot for someone that like values. It's a lot. Values convenience. That values convenience. It's a lot. That values convenience. So who is your customer? Yeah. So
sorry, because you know why I said that is a lot, because I know that thing of like when you're ordering on Chowdeck, where you order something that maybe it's like 6K or 7K. Then by the time you get to the point where it's like it's time to check out, and they maybe in your mind you're like, oh, I want to spend more than 8K or 9K. You see the thing like be there at 11K. I was like, it's too much now.
but again, that's why we were able to run without.
No. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, because again, like the philosophy after YC was like, you can't build a business that is not unit economics profitable. That's a business that's not profitable. When I mean unit economics, like you can't be losing money on each other. You can't sell $1 for 70 cents or this thing. And that I learned that like very early. That like no matter what we are doing, like that has to be top of mind. If you're a delivery rider, if this is the cost of delivery, then charge this for delivery.
It's funny that you're calling that a learning, because that's normal.
Yeah.
But it's not probably just because like of being in Nigeria and being scared because you're like
No, so it wasn't because the existing companies at the time, like some of them have actually I don't know.
Folded up.
Yeah. But the existing companies at the time, they made it look like delivery fees should be something that is very like low. Like they were charging 150, 200 naira for delivery. So we're like, oh, this is what currently exists. We don't know what but we assume that like they have a good business. This is what currently exists. That. And then when we go to YC and we ran the numbers, and we're like, oh, it's not possible to actually
it's stupid.
Yeah, to charge this amount for this thing. You will literally like die very soon if you continue to do that. So it just helped, you know what? know your actual customers. Like again, for those that can afford it, what you're selling is convenience and variety of restaurants. Like there are value propositions that like are actually really valid value propositions that we can sell to customers. That it's not just price. Yeah.
Okay, so I was telling you earlier on that I actually use Chowdeck. And again, the thing is, I think the reason why was because of the wide variety. But obviously now there's like a proliferation of like, food logistics, like apps and all that. So how have you guys been able to differentiate, like in terms of build a product that is like different from, Glovo or like food court or any other body or any other person in the space?
Yeah. Again, we are a lot of players in the space, but I don't think about it like that. I think about it most times from my customers, because again, it's my customer that will give me money. Do you understand?
Yeah.
My customer that will pay for the food. Like, what do my customers want? What are my customers complaining about? I've learned that like over time, like of course, competitive pressure helps you stay in check and then not do like nonsense or all of those things. But in the long run, and the most important thing that me have seen over time, is just constantly listening to our customers. What are our customers complaining about? Like we rolled out something that maybe we pushed a feature that we thought was going to help the customers, and customers did not like it. Like let's roll it out. Let's roll it back. It's still customers we are building this particular feature. So we just keep like iterating and improving constantly on what we currently have as a platform, and we try not to be too distracted with like things we are shipping. At the end of it all, like our customers have to consistently stay happy. So there's no point of like trying to compete if like all of us are creating like a shitty service to our customers and we're just like trying to beat each other or winning each other. So that's how I think about it internally.
Okay.
Like what like if things are not happening, maybe we're not growing as we should. Why? Like talk to the customers, ask customers, put out a tweet what the customers want, and you get a lot of insights that like you would ordinarily not even have imagined if like you were not spending time listening to the customers. Yeah.
Okay. So one thing I'm very curious about is in building Chowdeck is which get has been the sweetest?
Get?
Like in terms of which so I know there's like a press release when you guys got Chicken Republic. So obviously I can imagine when you're chasing like obviously different trying to get different platforms. Is that the word to call them? Different restaurants to get on the platform. Like obviously there are lots of obviously those back channel conversations. Yeah. Which one has been the sweetest for you? For
me, Chicken Republic. Chicken Republic, because that Chicken Republic story is very, very funny. Funny because like I started the journey like a year before.
Okay.
Yeah. So when we go into YC, we were trying to grow. So we did this thing where we script online. We script so a lot of restaurants menu online and just like put them on Chowdeck without talking to them. And then we just take pictures of the restaurant or send somebody there buy food, take pictures of the restaurant, and then so Chicken Republic. So we did that for Chicken Republic, and then they cut us, and they're like. Get out of my platform. Like I don't want to ever see. I'm like, God, Chicken Republic is the biggest restaurant in Nigeria. Like, and that was like I think a week or two before my demo day at YC. And I was like, so I told them that like, okay, I'll take it off, but I'll take it off September 5, which was like a day after demo day. And I was like, no, take it now immediately. End of this month. I'm like, okay. So I kept responding to the email slowly to just like buy time. We did this thing, yeah. So when we eventually took it down, that was like that was August, September. We took it down, and then. It pained me, because like I we had gotten that traction, people loved Chicken Republic, and I was like, okay, I started having the official conversations. I would go to the office, they would just like they were just not giving me the attention that I needed to get, and then we kept going back and forth. I think in May or so, they now reached out because we had grown a lot bigger than we were then, yeah. And then even on the App Store, we had become I think number 2 or number 3 like most downloaded food delivery apps in Nigeria at the time. So you just reached out that like, they're trying to like partner with people, they're trying to compromise, they're trying to like this. And I was like, yeah, I've been waiting for you. And I just doubled down on it. Like just like I started like, bro, I went dinners, like a lot of things to just ensure that like that deal closed. And when that eventually happened, I think it was just like icing on the cake for us that like, yes, this is validation that like a big brand like Chicken Republic like was going to be exclusively on Chowdeck, because again it was a very hard thing to sell to them. They're like, oh, you have like a lot of brands that are competing for the same, because Chicken Republic is the biggest like
fast food
QSR in Nigeria. Yeah. So that just gave me a lot of validation, so much confidence that like we are actually building the right thing. And
okay. And then I feel like you kind of answered this, but I'm still very curious. So earlier on, you were talking about like thinking about things on a city by city basis and not trying to grow too fast.
Yeah.
So for Chowdeck to scale,
and
when I say scale, like to become ubiquitous in Nigeria, maybe West Africa, obviously across the continent, what needs to happen?
I think it's already happening, which is like we've built a very good business. We understand our business now. We know the levels we need to push to grow. Like we are literally just starting, even though like we are probably the most dominated food delivery app in Nigeria. But I know that like it's still very much early for us. And the example I like to give is that like when I look at other continents, like DoorDash for example, currently do like 4.5 million deliveries every day. Uber Eats, same thing. There's a company in India called Swiggy. Swiggy is the biggest food delivery company in India. They do around 3 million deliveries every day. Zomato is also in India. Same India, they're doing around 2.5 million deliveries every day. Now across the world, everyone is doing millions of deliveries. But in Nigeria, like the highest food delivery company like is doing around 20,000 food deliveries every day. So it is very, very small. It's a very, very small market. But now that like we know what it costs to actually like grow this business, to actually scale this business, we're now going to double down on like just growth. Like of course we'll continue like trying to speed up the rate of our growth, because before, like I said, we'd use profits from one city to grow a new city, but we now have VCs that are actively invested in Chowdeck. It's now helping us like grow a lot faster than we would have ordinarily done here.
Okay, I guess just out of curiosity, what are like interesting patterns that come with building a business? Like, so obviously the thing is, so I remember when at the end of last year, you guys did your Spotify rap type thing. Yeah, that was very interesting for me because I saw the global cuts you had been buying. But obviously with the amount of data that you guys have, obviously on the back end and everything, like what interesting insights do you have to the way Nigerians spend money around food?
Good question. I think maybe just in recent times, I was giving an example when I I think I've seen different user behaviors with like how the economy is changing. Like there are different grades to protein.
Yes.
Yeah, like the first level of protein, of course, is no protein. Where like you eat your rice and stew, no protein. Then the next level is egg.
Yes.
Yeah. Then there's fish maybe. Basic fish, not seafood fish, And then there's beef and all of those things, I think like depending on the time of the month, like the protein level just changes. Like at the beginning of the month, boys are eating chicken, turkey, like buying like 2 chicken, 2 turkey, and then when it gets to like 9th or 10th of the month, like it switches to beef, and then you just see a lot more orders for egg, like towards the middle of the month. And you're like, okay, because. And like we discovered this when like we're looking at like why does AOV always drop middle of the month? And we just like because customers are still ordering, but the value of the order just reduces towards I'm like people are now buying eggs a lot more. They're buying beef a lot more than they would ordinarily buy. So that behavior like always like is a very funny behavior when you draw the graph But again, I guess it's just I think it will be similar across the world, to be honest.
No, definitely, but that's just like that's so sharp, but it's so funny. Okay, so I usually end these interviews by asking 2 questions.
Okay.
So the first one is, if there was anyone you would love to see on overnight success, who would it be? Anyone you'd love to see me drill?
The African or worldwide? I don't know. Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos like boss. I can't think of anyone right now.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And then finally, is there any? So you sat down with me. I've asked you all these questions about your life, your business, everything that you're doing. Is there any question you have for me?
I don't have any question for you.
Okay, that's good. So
I don't have any question for you on camera.
Okay, so you asked me off camera. Okay. Thank you, Femi, for your time. Thank you for building this fantastic product that means so much to all of us. And, wishing you obviously a lot of success, a lot of, positive milestones on your journey. And thank you guys for watching and for getting here. And catch you this time next week.